Hello?
Hello, teacher.
Hello, Frank. How are you?
A little tired, teacher, because this quarantine I had a lot of work.
Hmm.
Not only by my universities, if my work, because I am a teacher in a
Hmm.
rural school, and it's so difficult
Hmm.
to work with my students.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
true. It's a lot of
but
planning and practice and work. I understand you. So, we also have a session program with Diana. I'm trying to call her, but in the meantime, I'm gonna just write your name because we have to report your names. So, Frank and Diana, but Diana's not here. It's not a problem. So, let's start. Okay, Frank. Now I need you to please mute your microphone, and later on I'm gonna make you questions about that. Thank you. Nice. So, okay. I just had my lesson before this. It was a weekly. So let me just save that. Um, and we can start. This was a weekly 8. Okay, now we can start. So I'm gonna clear my canvas. Alright, now today's topic, as you know, is related to the knowledge of grammar. We're gonna do a grammar session, and it's gonna be about something called reported questions. Now this specific topic is considered advanced just because in order to understand this, you need to get some knowledge of what is reported speech. Now, don't let that confuse you, because, well, yeah, it is advanced, but that only means that we just need that previous knowledge. It doesn't mean that it's more difficult than reported speech. Now let's start. Let's have a quick warm-up. So as this topic is related to reported speech, Frank, I need you to tell me what is reported speech, or what do you know about it. And it doesn't have to be 100% accurate, don't worry.
okay, teacher. In this moment, I don't have clear the concept, but I think that is the special manner to write, probably in academic purpose.
Mm.
That I'm
Okay.
not sure. And recently, I read different books about English, and I found some variety about how write in English that is a lot of different that I know in the past. It's
Mm.
very confusing sometimes.
Okay, no problem. So I'm gonna try to make it clear for you. Now, so let's talk about reported speech. For this, I want you to imagine that you're calling, let's say, your mom. You're on the phone with your mom, and she's talking to you about whatever topic. Okay, you just finished your call with your mom. Now, you talk with your brother is with you right there, and your brother asks you, hey, what did mom say? In that case, you have to report what she said. So, in order to report that, you will need to make some changes to the original phrases that your mom said. For example, your mom said, are you eating well? during the phone call, and then your brother ask you, hey, what was mom talking about? You will say, well, my mom asked me whether if I'm eating well. And it's just that. It's the easiest way to remember is by imagining someone on the phone, and then you have to report that conversation to other person. That is reported speech. Now, in today's topic, we're not gonna talk sorry, about reported speech. We are gonna talk about reported questions. So what are reported questions? In that case, imagine that your mom is just asking you questions during the phone call. You finish the phone call, and then you tell your brother the questions that your mom asked you. For example, well, that was another good example. Are you eating well? That was a question. So you need to report that question. And you will say, she asked me if I'm eating well. Now, there are certain rules for that. I'm gonna write them down just in the form of a summary, because this was not the plan of today's lesson. You're gonna find out that reported questions is very easy, and reported speech is actually a bit complicated. But the thing that I want you to remember is that when we report speech, this one, we are basically backshifting the tenses. I'm gonna write it. This is important. Backshift. And this is a word we say when we have one tense and we have to lower down to another tense. So in the case of present simple, you need to go down and transform the sentence into past simple. One good example of this would be the birds fly. So how would you change that? If it's in present simple, now you need to change it to past simple. I will say the birds flight with the D at the end. Now that is the backshift. You transform the sentences and you lower down to a previous tense. In that case, you need to tell someone what other person told you. So for example, your mom in the phone call is telling you about today I ate. Let's write it. Gonna write it right here because it's not relevant to present simple. So today I ate, let's say, beans. How are you gonna report that? This one is in past simple. And in order to report it, you need to transform it into past perfect simple. That will be, today I ate beans. You will say, my mom said she had eaten beans today. So this is the original. If I'm telling that to another person, I will say this. It is that simple. Now I'm gonna tell you about the changes with more detail. You don't have to remember those, but my advice in order to get that is to read a lot. So whenever we read anything that you like, you're gonna see that, and it's gonna be easier for you to remember. Don't study so much grammar. Don't worry about it. So present simple changes to past simple. What happens with present continuous? Let's write it. Present continuous changes to past continuous. What about present perfect? We have to downshift it once, so present perfect. We downshifted to past perfect. The clue is just change past for present for past. You see here, present perfect, present simple, past simple. Present continuous, past continuous. Present perfect, past perfect. And that's it. That's how we change the original phrases into reported questions, or in that case of reported speech, into reported speech. Now, these are the presents. There's also something going on with the pasts. So past simple is gonna downshift to past perfect simple. Past continuous is gonna downshift to past perfect continuous. And the last one, what happens if something is in past perfect? Well, we leave it like it is. We don't have to change it. If it's in past perfect and I want to report it, I still keep it in past perfect. Now I'm gonna give you a couple of examples about that very quickly, so that we can move on to the reported questions. Okay. So, present simple, present continuous, and present perfect. The presents is what I call this. We call backshift present simple. When we backshift, present simple changes to past simple. Present continuous changes to past continuous, and present perfect changes to past perfect. So let's look at this example. I travel a lot in my job. This is present simple. So what does the rule say? Present simple changes to past simple. Okay, so I travel a lot in my job. I say, Jamila said that she traveled a lot in her job. You see, I changed it, the original, it was travel. Now I say she traveled, because I'm communicating that to another person. Now, the baby is sleeping. This one is in present continuous. Look at the rule. Present continuous changes to past continuous. So let's change that to past continuous. The baby is sleeping. He told me the baby was sleeping. I added just this was, and that's how I'm changing it to past simple. Now, I've hurt my leg. This one is present perfect. So let's look about the present perfect. Present perfect changes to past perfect. So I've hurt my leg. I say, she said she had hurt her leg. This D is just the contraction of had. So she says she had hurt her leg. The correct way to read this is she said she'd hurt her leg. Okay, now Frank, is that clear? That's the reported speech.
Yes, teacher, is very clear. You explain. Excellent. I understand it, and it's very easy.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Now, well, we also have the past simple, past continuous, and the past perfect. Let's do that. I'm not gonna take so much time doing that. So, in the case of the whiteboard, we're gonna talk about the pasts. So the pasts are only two forms: past simple and past continuous. Now let's move to the examples. When we backshift, past simple is usually changed to past perfect simple, and past continuous usually changes to past perfect continuous. Let's look at some examples. We live in China for 5 years, so I will say that this is past simple. What does the rule say? Past simple changes to past perfect simple. So I just change it. She told me they lived in China for 5 years. Again, this D is the contraction of had. Now, let's look at this example. It was raining all day. That is past continuous because of the ing. Now, the rule says past continuous usually changes to past perfect continuous. Again, it's just adding had. Whenever we said past perfect, it's had. He told me it had been raining all day. So you notice in the case of the presents, we have present simple, present continuous, and present perfect. We downshift those. In the case of the past, we downshift past simple and past continuous. Now there's also the past perfect. That's the one that stays the same. So the past perfect doesn't change. I had tried everything without success, but this new medicine is great. Now I need to backshift that, and I will say he said he tried everything without success, but the new medicine was great. So we're talking only about a change of tense. Now, but this one is not so important. There's something this page doesn't say, and is that in the case of will, it changes for could. Well, wait, I'm not so sure about that. It was here. 1 second, because I forgot about that. No, it's would. Yeah, I'm glad that I checked on that. So will, if we backshift it, it changes for would. In the case of can, if we're gonna report it, we use could. Alright, now let's go on to today's topic. So today's topic is that same topic, but it's specifically related to questions, reported questions. So let me read you this. A reported question is when we tell someone what another person asked. To do this, we can use direct speech or indirect speech. So direct speech. Do you like working in sales? He asked. If I say that in indirect speech, I will say, he asked me if I like working in sales. Notice how here, do you like working in sales? I put the do you first. Do you like? Because that is a question. That's how I know it's a question. Do you like? But when I say it in the other form, in indirect speech, I put it, I turn it around. So he asked me if I like working in sales. Here the key is not to make a question, but to make a statement. Remember to make a statement. Alright. So in indirect speech, we change the question structure. Do you like? To a statement structure. I like. That's what I was saying. We often make changes to the tenses and other words in the same way as for reported speech, for reported statements. For example, have done changes to had done today, because remember, I have present perfect, it changes to past perfect. You can learn about these changes on the reported speech one. It's the thing that we just talked about. So, this topic of reported questions is pretty easy. We have yes, no questions. We have questions with a word, like what, where, why, no, why. And reporting verbs. Well, we also have offerings, like would you like to have a coffee? Now let's go one by one. So yes, no questions. Yes, no questions. We use if or whether to report the question. If is more common. Now, this is the sentence that someone told me. I want to tell this sentence to another people. Are you going to Helsinki conference? I will report this. He asked me if I was going to the Helsinki conference. Okay, pretty simple. I just add if or whether. Now, have you finished the project yet? I need to use whether. So she asked us whether we'd finished the project yet. Now, that is for yes or no questions. For example, did you have lunch? Yeah, I can remember yes. So if I can answer yes to that question, I use this rule. That's what I mean by yes or no questions. Some question that I can answer yes or no. Now, I also have questions with a question word, like what, where, why, when, or how. We use the questions word to report the question. Like, what time does the train leave? If I'm gonna report that, I say, he asked me what time the train left. Again, notice that I'm not making a question here, I'm making a statement. So that is the reason for that structure. He asked me what time the train left. Now, where did he go? She asked where he went. Very simple. Alright, reporting verbs. So the most common reporting verb for question is ask. But we can also use verbs like inquire and want to know and wonder. So, did you bring your passports? If I'm gonna report that, I will say she wanted to know if they brought the passports. So notice how according to that if, I'm also adding wanted to know. Did you bring your passports? She wanted to know if they brought their passports. Now, when could you get this done by? I would simply report that he wondered when we could get it done by. And the last one, offers, requests, and suggestions. If the question is making an offer, request, or suggestion, we can use a specific verb pattern instead. For example, offer plus infinitive plus ask. So the infinitive is just the natural form of the verb. Let's look at these examples. Would you like me to help you? This is an offering. So I will use this rule. Offer plus infinitive plus ask plus infinitive or suggest. Would you like me to help you? He offered to help me. Okay, so I used offered plus the infinitive of help. That is help. Simply like that. Can you hold this for me, please? Another offering. So she asked me to hold it. And in this instance, I'm not using offered. I'm just simply using asked plus the infinitive of hold. Can you hold this for me, please? She asked me to hold it. Okay. Why don't we check it? Why don't we check with Joel? She suggested checking with Joel. In this case, I'm using suggested. So it's just the same as asking for offering or ask. Alright, those were the topics of the reported questions. Let's move into the exercises. Now, I don't need you to be 100% accurate. What I need you to know is to recognize the type of tense that we have in the exercise so that we know what is the back shift that we have to do. So let's look at this example, Frank. Did you meet each other at school? He asked them. So Frank, tell me, what tense is this? Did you meet each other at school?
It's in the past tense, because the writer used the auxiliary did.
Excellent. So we know that if we have a past simple, we should change it to what tense?
Past perfect.
Past perfect. All right.
Past perfect.
Now let's look at the answers. Which one do you think it is the answer?
The second, if they meet at school.
Very well. So because we know that we have to use past perfect, we know that this one wouldn't work because this one is past simple. So the only options that we have is this. And the first one we have if they had met at school. That is stating a question in the form of a statement.
Yes, because it's used the word if, and in the third option, not correct because we only use had at the start of the sentence with this question.
Exactly. At the start of a question, we use had they met at school, and yeah, the idea is to show a statement. Very well, Frank. Now let's continue with the second exercise. Why are you wearing sunglasses? So she wondered.
Now, is this a present participle?
Why are you wearing sunglasses? Yes, present.
Yes.
Continuous.
Yes, continuous, and the answer is he was wearing sunglasses.
Excellent. If he was wearing sunglasses. Very well. Now let's look at this one. Who else have you told? So what is this tense?
This is the present past simple.
This is present perfect.
Excuse me, see, present perfect because they use have. Yes, yes.
So what is the back shift that we have to do?
I choose it had we told. Had we told? No, excuse me, let me say.
But before you give me the answer, yes, we have present perfect. So what does the rule say? We change present perfect to
past perfect.
Okay, past perfect. So we need to the sentence should have had.
Yeah.
Okay.
No have.
Now let's look at the answers.
The number 8. Who else we told?
Who else would told? Very well. So again, we're using the form of a statement, and that's it, because this one is in past perfect, so we use had. This is a contraction. Okay. Now, were you listening to me? She asked us. What is the tense for this phrase? Were you listening to me, Frank?
is past participle.
Mm-hmm.
Past, yes, and
And
it's
we
necessary
backshift
to
it.
convert. Excuse me, teacher.
And we should backshift it to.
To a past perfect past participle. Yes.
No, if we have uh, this is past continuous. So if we have past continuous, we should change it to past perfect continuous.
Past perfect continuous. Past
Mhm.
perfect continuous. Okay. Yes. We. Number B.
Okay, were you listening to me? She asked us whether we had been listening to her. Whether we had been listening to her. Yes, that is the correct answer. Very well. Let me review what this one was again, because this, I'm sure this was not so clear. So this was let me look. If whether doesn't show up. It was the with weather. I wanted to explain you that again. You bring your passports. Okay. So this one is a yes or no question. Were you listening to me? We should also think, can I answer yes or no to this question? So, were you listening to me? Yes, I was listening. So in this case, we use this rule, the yes or no question. And the rule says, if I can say yes or no to this question, I use whether or if. And in this case, you use whether we've been listening to her. So very well. Now, how will you get to France? I asked them. This one, remember, will changes for would.
Would. Yes.
Mhm.
I would say good to France. Number B.
How would they get to France? So this is a question. If I'm reporting, I should not use a question. I should use a statement.
It's number C. Yes.
Very well. All right. Let's
I-
continue. Yeah, you have a question about this one?
Yes. It's very important that clue, because when one people ask me a question, I cannot to answer with one question. I need to answer with
With
a
statement.
simple statement. Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, I forgot to mention something. And whenever we teach these of reported questions, the most common mistake students do is that they report questions in the form of questions, and it shouldn't be like that. The way we should do it, let's mark it with there, is reporting questions in the form of statements. So, very nice of you to remember. Now, continuing on, had you already met him? She asked me. Now this one is in past perfect. Remember, we keep it the same.
Yes. Number 8, because it's a yes no question. Number 8 for me.
Had you already met him? She asked me whether had I already met him. Yeah, very well. Now let me look at this one. Had you already met him? She asked me if I already met him. No, that wouldn't work because we need to keep it the same. if I had already met him. This one makes me confused because we can also use if in the case of a yes or no question.
Teacher, pero I had one error because in the first sentence I start with had, and this is a question. The correct answer is number C.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. This one is a question, and so we should use the statement. So,
Yeah.
if I had already met him. Very well. Now, what can we do about this? We wanted to know. What can we do about this?
Entonces, okay, you use, in this sense, I use could and okay. What we could, number B, we could do about it.
Okay, let me check on that. What can we do about this? We wanted to know what we could do about it. Very well. This is a statement, and we change can for could. Very well. Now, the final exercise. Can I get you a coffee? I offered. So this one is telling me I'm offering something. Let me review right quick. What do we do when we're offerings? So when we do
It is
offerings,
necessary use to but plus infinitive verb. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
that's very well. So we need to have some form of infinitive. Now let's look at these options and try to look for the one that has an infinitive.
Is only one to get him a coffee.
To get him a coffee. Very well. Now let's read it, and it even sounds kind of pretty. Look at it. So, can I get you a coffee? I offered to get him a coffee. It sounds natural. You see that? Alright. So, you did all the exercise very well. Now let's do a quick summary. So first and most important, what is reported speech, and what will you do to remember that? Frank.
Reported speech is an statement that probably when people ask me about something in the past and I respond in a past, yes.
Backshift, remember the word, and we backshifted one tense. So yeah, it's making one statement, and we backshifted. So backshifted.
Backshift. What is the meaning of backshift?
Backshift. Have you seen in cars? You have first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. Have you seen those in cars?
Reverse.
You have reverse. Yeah. So these are shifts. If I'm on the first gear, I will upshift it to the second one. Same, if I'm in the fourth gear, I will backshift it into the third. So that is the image that we use. Let's imagine this is the shifter of a car. That is backshift. Alright, now report the speech very well. And we also talk about reported questions. So, it's not necessary for you to remember all of the rules. Just tell me what is reported questions and what will you do to remember that.
In this case, it's very important remember the tense and the probably some auxiliary or special verb as a can, will, could, would.
Remember
very
the
important.
tenses and the modals.
Modal
and the
verbs, yes.
auxiliaries. Modals, parentheses, auxiliaries. Because auxiliaries is the thing we use to make questions. Wait, I wrote this wrong. Auxiliaries. Now, it is also very important. Even if it's a question, we report it in the form of a statement. And that's it for today, Frank. I wonder if you have any questions about this?
No, that is very clear. I don't know until be about this,
Mhm.
and it's very interesting for me. And today I learned that something that is very important for me.
Mhm.
Probably I had in my mind a lot of grammar,
Mm.
but I recognize that with the question, I am very fast. I need to stop and take probably 1 minute to think better.
Exactly. That's a good idea to take 1 minute to analyze it a little more closely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, very well, Frank. Well, I appreciate your participation. It was a really nice lesson. Thanks to you. And I hope you have a nice day.
Thank you, teacher.
All right,
Bye bye.
take care. Bye bye.